cloud, and here we are. All right, Dan, so we are talking about SEO and our plan to launch the SEO dealer program through your company, Big Leap. And I wanted to, before we get going, start out with the question that's going to be at the top of all of our dealers' minds. I think dealers are very excited about the SEO program. We rolled out microsites earlier this year, and helping dealers get found on Google, get their microsites found and get those people converted to leads is very much at the top of dealers' minds. But right in the beginning here, I wanted to go over the pricing and let everybody know that the plans run from $500 to $2,000 a month. And that's actually 2,000 plus, and it's really dependent on market size. Is that correct?
Yeah, it really just depends on how competitive is the specific marketplace. If you're in a rural area versus in Manhattan, right? It's a different competition level, so the price varies based on that.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Also wanted to let all the dealers know that RoofMax will be co-oping this at 50% for the first 6 months. And we think that this is just going to be a terrific source of leads and of opportunities. So, you know, if you wind up spending $1,000 on SEO as a dealer, you are eligible for $500 a month in free product for 6 months. So that would be a $3,000 free product co-op on a $6,000 SEO spend. So speaking of leads, can you help us understand how dealers get more leads and ultimately more jobs using SEO?
Yeah, and Dave, thanks so much for the conversation and love working with RoofMax. It's been fun working together thus far and really excited to roll this out at the dealer level. With just giving a background in SEO, stands for search engine optimization, and basically take away the fancy words and what is it? You go to Google, you type in anything from at what temperature does water boil to how do I know if my roof is falling apart to whatever it is. Everything that shows up is basically SEO. You have the first few pieces at the top, which have a little tiny button that says ad, and that's a paid search ad. That's an advertisement where if you click on it, you just paid $17 or $8 or some amount that you've already agreed to with Google. And that's the paid search section. And then below that, you have maps where you're showing restaurants and local businesses. And then you've got organic. So in our world, when we're talking about the SEO program, we're talking about everything in that maps and below section. So you do a search for almost anything, SEO has been used by those companies to get them there. So when we're talking about generating leads and talking about how do I get more jobs, I think the consistent theme throughout all of this is you have to be in the right place at the right time when someone has that pain point or need, right? So if I am in that exact moment of going, oh crap, I got to fix my truck. Oh no, I got to do this. And I go to look up a part or I go to look up the thing. That's why SEO is valuable. And that's why RoofMax is willing to invest this much in helping the dealers show up when people have the pain point and actually are doing the search for that specific thing at that specific time.
So a lot of our dealers, and I appreciate that explanation, but a lot of our dealers are doing advertising, and they're doing advertising through Facebook, or they may be doing advertising through other places. Can you talk a little bit about the percentage of people that are searching for something that come through ads versus organic?
Sure. I think there's two main pieces here, and I love Facebook in a lot of ways. I hate Facebook in a lot of ways. Depends on what it's being used for, right? And at this point, the biggest demographic that uses Facebook are women between the ages of about 50 to 75. So my mom's on Facebook, and that's where she says, Dan, did you see the post I put? I talked about you. I'm like, no, I haven't logged in a while. No. So Facebook's great because it serves a need. There's a demographic that's there. It's evolved a lot in the last 5 years, 10 years of what it was. But once again, it's an ad. And so it pops up in front of me because it knows I'm a homeowner. It knows that I'm in a niche of a demographic group that might need that service. But it's not like that person went onto Facebook because they need a roof. They're there because they were seeing what their friends were doing, right? So there's a need and a purpose, and it works. It can work really well. Once again, on the Google side, if I'm doing a Google search looking about fixing my roof, it's because in that moment, I need to fix my roof, and you're in front of the person at the right time. So, I mean, just looking at one number for Google, there's 5.6 billion searches in Google a day. 5.6 billion. So if you look at the trend line for that, some people thought that might decrease, and other search engines or other methods of gaining knowledge might be used, like, hey, Alexa and Google Home and things like that. The reality is that trend just keeps increasing. So people go to Google to ask questions and get answers and find services and find solutions for their problems.
So, on Google, let me ask you, how important are reviews? How important is that trust factor?
Yeah, and I like to look at this and think of just what was the last thing you searched for? What was the last thing that you bought, whether it was a service or a good? And chances are, whether you heard about it on a radio ad, whether you heard about it on TV, whether you heard about it from a friend or on a bench or on a bus, it doesn't matter. Most people then go to Google and look up the site. They look up the brand and they want to see if it looks reputable. The most recent stat I saw said something like it's 67%, 65%, right in that range of people will research a project or product or good or service on Google before purchasing. So we all do it. We go to Google and we research, and you want to see, are there blatantly awful things that are being said about this company or product? And if so, big X, big red flag, look for another solution. And if you see there's 2 reviews, it's like, ooh, maybe this company's good, maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm surprised they only have 2 reviews, right? If they have 150 and it's 4.6 stars, all of a sudden, just mentally, psychologically, it checks that box. And it's like, okay, this is a legit company. They obviously have people that like what they do. I can do a quick scroll through. They look good. I trust them. I'm going to call them. So it's a huge, having reviews and Google reviews, and not just Google reviews, there's other types as well, but having those is a huge factor in getting people to get over the hump to actually reach out to you and actually want to talk to you.
Nice. I think that one of the questions our dealers are going to have is, what's in it for me? I mean, why should I do this? Dealers have a lot of options when it comes to advertising. And we want to help them understand, why this over something else.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a magical, I think, silver bullet in almost anything. If you just look at general search consumer behavior or just general behavior, look at your own behavior and you think, when was the last time I bought something, right? What'd you do? Whether you're on Amazon or wherever you are, you're looking for reviews, you're looking for credibility, you're researching it, you're digital, most likely looking at it online. And that's what this program does. In addition to some of the work that I know RoofMax is doing, where there's going to be a lot of publicity coming for the brand and a lot of named searches of people going, ooh, RoofMax, what's that? What this product, what this solution, what this program is going to help each, as the dealers have, is now when someone's looking for RoofMax in Charlotte, in a specific geography, in Salt Lake City, in Milwaukee, when you're looking for it in a specific location, they're finding you. They're finding your location because you're the one that owns that space. And we're helping take it from, ooh, I heard about this, to now I know exactly who they are. They have a bunch of reviews. They have happy customers. It looks really legitimate. Oh my gosh, this is super interesting. I didn't know this existed as of 3 days ago. And now I'd rather spend this much than $20,000 replacing my roof. Let me give them a call.
Yep, that makes sense. So, I mean, we've talked a little bit about Facebook and Facebook ads, display ads versus search. Say somebody goes to Google and they search Google for, whether it's roofing rejuvenation or even roofing repair or something roofing related. Can you help us understand the difference between, SEO and paid search within Google?
Sure. I mean, as far as location goes, the paid search ads are at the very top, organic's right below that, SEO is below that. And they have pros and cons to each. The pro and the benefit to kind of paid search is you're the very, very top and you can kind of instantly show up. So you start doing paid search, the team that you're working with can help you show up there within 2 weeks, right? You get the campaign going. So the positive is you're there right away. The negative is you're paying every single time someone clicks. The other negative is if you just look at the studies that show how many people click in that top section, the paid section, versus how many people click in the bottom section, the organic, and also the demographics of people who click in that top section versus the demographics of who click in the bottom section. It just each has its own pros and cons. There's a whole lot more search or clicks or traffic or calls available in organic because it's the studies range, but it's roughly anywhere from about 70 to 80% of the people will click in that organic spot, not the paid search spot, because a lot of people understand that's an ad and they just heat mapping shows, they ignore it. They scroll right past it and go to organic because they know it's an advertisement. They don't want to be advertised to. They want to just find what the right answer is below that. So both are good strategies, both help in different ways. And I'm a huge proponent of paid search. It can really help kickstart a campaign. It can help us showing up right away. And in the right world, or in the right plan for marketing, these efforts are complementing each other. And if someone does a search for something related to roof rejuvenation, and we got a Roof Max ad showing up here at the top, and then you scroll down and you got a location showing up for your Milwaukee office and location, and you've got also Roof Max showing up here below in organic, you're showing up in 3 out of like the 10 spots. You're going to get clicked on. So they work together. Organic is more of the long-term, I'm owning the house, I'm making payments, and I'm owning this. And when I'm done making payments, I own this house, as opposed to paid is more like renting. You're renting the space, and as soon as you stop paying the rent, you didn't have any equity built up. So they both matter. They're just different.
So what I'm hearing you say is that one of our dealers or our dealers collectively can actually own those keyword positions. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, and the nice thing about organic is you build it up, and then for all these different types of phrases that we're helping to optimize the site for, that's where you are. You last there. Now Google's Google, and those things fluctuate all the time. And so maybe you're ranking in the second position for 6 months, then you're the first position, and then you're the third position, the second position. So they fluctuate, and that's to be expected. I'm not promising anyone you're going to be in this exact spot every day for the rest of your life. But that's a false claim. But what we're doing is getting Google to understand that your site, and specifically your microsite, your portion of the Roof Max overall brand and that website that's yours, is the best result for those themes: roof rejuvenation, Roof Max, roof repairs, things like that, so that you're showing up in those spots. And then, yeah, the goal is you're staying there for a really long time. Now, it's a bit of a race, and it depends on what your competition's doing, because if you've got 3 competitors in the space and they're not doing anything digital, well, it doesn't take too far to get in front of them, right? And you should last there for a long time. If you're in a space where you've got 6 competitors that are pouring a whole lot of money into online advertising, well, now you're in a race and you're kind of jockeying for position, and it's more competitive, it's more difficult, and that's where it's going to take more to sustain that growth and that progress. So not a one-size-fits-all solution, but when you do it right, it's like diet and exercise. You eat healthy and you exercise, 9 times out of 10, you're in a healthy, good position.
So what I hear you saying is that there's really never been a better time for our dealers to get in and capture these keywords while there is really little to no competition.
From a competitive landscape, yes. And anytime you have kind of a game-changing product or service like what RoofMax is doing, usually you got, what, a year, 6 months, 2 years to kind of claim that territory before you've got a bunch of competition that's right there nipping at your heels. This is a great time. The fact that RoofMax is willing to co-op a lot of the spend as well makes it even more worthwhile, even more exciting. So that's really generous and great that RoofMax is willing to do that.
Absolutely. And we see the value for sure of our dealers capturing their keywords and owning those keywords so that they can stay out in front. RoofMax can stay out in front regardless of what happens to the competitive landscape.
Well, David, I got a question for you now.
Oh, yeah.
You've been in the roofing space for years. You've been doing this a long time, which is why it's fun that you can take a lot of that experience and parlay that, turn that into experience for RoofMax. SEO, why does it matter to you? What have you seen it do? Why do you see that it matters, and why are you excited about this program instead of me? Of course, I'm excited. I'm the partner. But as RoofMax, why are you excited about it?
I would say over all of the years that I've been in roofing marketing, over all of the campaigns, all of the clients, all of the companies, all of the years, there are 2 things that have been the most effective from a customer acquisition standpoint. One has been direct selling, door to door, first in, first out. It's very difficult to execute these campaigns. It requires a lot of work, a lot of money, but they can be very effective. And then the second is SEO. And SEO is great for the contractor because it does require some money. but it doesn't require a lot of work and it doesn't require a lot of time. And really, I mean, I think that the cheapest, best leads come from SEO. And we've also found that, with folks that are not doing SEO, if they're doing everything else, their returns tend to be a lot lower because their customers, whether they see them on a yard sign or a truck or a TV commercial or a radio ad or a door hanger, a flyer, or somebody comes to the door and knocks on their door. The reality is if they're not well optimized on Google and they're not finding them on Google, the overall ROI goes down. And so that's the reason that RoofMax has stepped up and offered the co-op, is because we understand how critically important it is for our dealers to own these keywords nationwide before we really start getting into a situation where we've got some real competition, because competition will come. And by the time competition comes, we want our dealers to own those keywords, to have those business assets, and to have the free leads that come with them forever, because that just makes good business sense for us.
As you were mentioning, on the kind of the direct selling side, which is effective, but it's very strategic, takes a lot of time to do all the elements.
It's a big pain.
On the SEO side, it was more of a, you do your job, you do what you're doing, and it kind of works in the back end for you as you have a company doing it for you. From your experience where Big Leap's doing SEO for RoofMax as the corporate brand right now, I'm sure dealers are thinking, or the question they're going to have is, well, how much time do I have to put into this? What's it take on my side? How much effort do I have to put? So I'm curious, from your experience for the last while, how much effort have you had to put into it versus the effort that our team puts into it?
I mean, other than an occasional call, an update call, really it's been none. It's been very, very little, other than just keeping abreast of what's happening in our program. And when we started out, we had almost no visibility on Google. Did a little bit, but very, very little, and a very limited number of monthly searches, and a very limited number of amount of traffic coming to the site. And now that is radically increased. We really saw a tip at about 6 months where things just started to shoot through the roof. And even with COVID hitting, I've been impressed with how how we've continued to get leads, we've continued to get inquiries, and we've continued to grow as a company and a business. And I think that there are a lot of reasons why we've continued to grow throughout COVID. I think we have a great concept, very disruptive. We have fantastic dealers that are all out there hustling in their markets. But I think we also have a killer Google presence. And we've watched, our Google leads go up and up and up and up every month throughout COVID. And I think that that's been incredibly powerful for us, even against other roofing companies and roofing concepts. And we are starting to see homeowners that say, hey, I have a roofing problem and I was looking for a roofing contractor and I found you instead. And oh my gosh, where has this been my whole life? And, if I were king, that's the experience every dealer would have in their local territories and their local markets. They would be able to educate their end users that RoofMax is an option. You don't need to spend 10, 11, 15, $20,000 on a roof to create all this landfill waste. That you've got this easy, simple, quick, eco-friendly option that's just so much better than roofing. And and so that's kind of part of my job, is helping RoofMax become a household name, but also helping our dealers maximize the value of the money that they're putting into marketing, not just in the short term, but down the road. And we see this as an opportunity for them to build assets and also to get free leads and to have a stable source of search-based leads instead of having to live and die on display advertising.
Happy to hear your feedback on how that process is going.
That's it.
Awesome. Love it. And I'm glad you said the 6-month time frame, because that helps to set some expectations as well. On the SEO side, it does take some time to make things work. And it's not that we're lazy or sitting on our hands or golfing all day, which I would love to do. It is that, or fishing, it's that to do the work and make it happen, there's just the snowball effect where it grows and grows. And so you do the research to figure out a really good piece of content to add to the site that answers a question people are going to have. And by the time that you take that piece of content, make sure you have the right kind of keywords mixed into it, get it approved by everybody so that it looks good and feels good and says the right things, get that on the site, get Google to index it and actually read through the content and go, oh, that's good stuff. And then have them start to rank that and start moving it up the list. That takes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then it's bouncing, getting higher and higher so that your rankings are continuing. And if we're doing a project like that for RoofMax or the dealers, we're doing that monthly. So you get 6 months, 12 months down the road, you've got all these projects that are being created that are at slightly different phases, but they're all rising up. And so you got a year, 2 years down the road. And that's why Dave was talking about how you've got all this opportunity helping to drive free leads or helping to drive leads because we're getting you front and center for roof regeneration type things, roof mag type things, roof repair type things, which I love that example too. How cool is it that we're getting to a tipping point where people are starting to find RoofMax for roof repair stuff and roof repair type phrases instead of just roofing contractors. And that's a huge goal there as well. So thank you for the response there.
Oh, no worries. So we were talking a little bit about roofing, and you're really the expert on search volume. Could you give our dealers a sense of how many searches there are a day, a week around roofing and roof repair and roof cleaning and roof maintenance, and kind of some of these things that we spend our lives thinking about?
Yeah, all the super sexy stuff.
Yes, exactly.
The nice thing about the home services industries, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, roofing, that contracting space, there's more and more and more homes being built every day. There's more and more roofs hitting 20 years every day. This is not a niche that's dying or a niche that's going away. It's this quiet, gigantic niche that a lot of people don't realize how big it is, right? And so on the roofing side of things, depending on your geography, obviously dictates a lot of it. If you're once again in Atlanta versus in a really, Moscow, Idaho, the search volume differs, right? So there's not a one size fits all, but depending where you are, there's hundreds to many thousands of searches on a monthly basis for exactly what we're talking about, roof repairs. As RoofMax does more and more helping to teach people what roof regeneration even is, there's going to be more and more of that being found as well, and just people looking for RoofMax in general. So depends on the geography, but there's anywhere from hundreds to thousands of searches in your dealer area of people looking for what you offer. So the answer is not, am I going to spend thousands of dollars and no one's going to, be searching for me? No, as long as you have a territory that has a few roofs, there's going to be people searching for roofing, things. And the thing I found interesting, because I had to go through this about 2 years ago and I had to get a new roof, was I had a neighbor who's a contractor who said, oh, call my buddy. Well, I did, but what did I do before I called him? I Googled him, right? And I looked at reviews and even as a referral from a friend, I still looked him up. I did my own searches. I called 3 different roofing companies at the time. Did not at the time know much about RoofMax, which I did to save me some money. But with what normal consumers go through and going through that process, I looked at reviews. I looked at who was visible, and then it was responsiveness. It was, did I actually like them? Because you could be the first one to call, and if you're an absolute jerk and curt and not friendly, I don't want to work with you, right? I don't care how good you are. So we can help generate the leads. We can help to make that process happen, and then at that point, gosh, please be responsive, right? And you get a lead coming in, take care of it in ideally a few minutes, a few hours at the worst, not a few days, right? As soon as you get those leads, those are gold, and we need to get a hold of them quickly. I had 2 or 3 companies I reached out to that never even got back to me, and maybe they're so busy that they didn't care, but obviously I'm not going to pick their bid if they never even called me back.
Yeah, totally. And fortunately, our many of our dealers now have the client tether system as well, which helps them get immediately in front of leads and then nurture those leads and nurture the quotes. So we know when leads are coming in, we're seeing quicker engagement times, higher appointment rates, higher quote rates, and certainly higher sales rates. So one of our big pains is bringing in the leads. But talking about roofers, how does a RoofMax dealer set themselves apart from other roofers?
So a lot of the things we've been talking about. So responsiveness and Client Tether, actually a company I know really well outside of RoofMax, which is fun, and plug for that service because it really helps the time you get a lead in and get in touch with them and schedule something and follow up. it makes your lives, better. So if you're not using that service, please consider it. But you stand out. You have to do the basics. You have to be visible. You have to show up. Your website has to be in a spot where someone can find you in the first place. Reputation. You have to have the trust signals that show that I should trust you. And those are star reviews. Those could be things ranging from anything from Better Business Bureau stuff and having, badges to Angie's List to whatever it is that the RoofMax team is helping support there, and credibility. And then it's that punctuality, and response time and actually following up and getting in touch with people. The SEO program helps accomplish a lot of those pieces. The Client Tether program helps accomplish even more of those pieces with responsiveness. And then it's just take good care of people, right? As the dealers do, just take good care of people and you'll have good experiences.
So, this is kind of a related question. I've had a number of dealers ask me, do I need a blog? Why do I need a blog? I know blogs tie into SEO, so I wanted to ask you that question while I've got you on this call.
Cool. So just people have heard that phrase for years. If you don't know what a blog is, basically it's the part of your site where you can add ongoing content that answers people's questions or shows off projects. You can use it for kind of whatever you want, but you've got your normal pages of your site, your about us, your contact us, these are our products, these are our services, these are our gallery of good work, right? So you've got the main pages that usually don't change a whole lot. Your blog is where you can continually add content that allows Google to say, hey, this site cares, this site's continually being updated, let's rank it higher and higher. So our blog option's available on some of the different package levels, and it matters, it's good. What it does is it tells Google that we're refreshing the site. It tells Google that there's additional content. And now there's additional questions that people are asking, is the product's evolving? That's where we can highlight that and spotlight that. So the rough takeaway is, or the high level takeaway is, if you have a blog on your microsite for the dealer, you're probably going to rank better. You're probably going to be able to show up for more overall phrases. You will probably generate more lead flow from having it versus not having it.
So is a blog something that that is included in this package? Help me understand that.
Yeah, depending on the price point of the package, because the packages start, I think, at $500, right? And they range up to, our most common packages are $1,000, $2,000, and they go above that based on this competition level and how aggressive you want us to be. At the lower price points, we don't have the bandwidth or time to be able to help create the blog post for you. So you could do that yourself for sure if you have the time. If you pick one of the kind of the more value added programs or packages, that's included. We work with you to figure out things that you'd like us to talk about if you have a strong opinion on that. Otherwise, we just do it. We work with the RoofMax team to identify the high-level themes, and then we personalize and customize that for your specific area, and we do the work there.
Okay. One thing that I also wanted to ask you about is reputation management. I know that there is a reputation management add-on as well for folks that are looking to get more reviews. Can you help me understand that?
Yeah, so that review piece matters, and it's one where if you're training your team, take the time to teach them how to ask for a review, hopefully after they've done a nice job. But one of the kind of add-on opportunities that we have in the packages is adding on a system that will help automate some of that process. So I will send out text message reminders. It can send out emails to help just to increase the flow of reviews that you're getting, which is what helps to increase the overall your overall trust when people are searching for your brand or your name or the website. So it is an add-on available. If you're not doing anything with it right now, that'd make a lot of sense to add on. It's a few $100s a month to have that platform added to the service to help your team be able to automate some of the review process.
Cool. I appreciate that understanding. So, I mean, how do we work together? If a dealer wants to sign up for this package, they will email the marketing department, marketing@roofmax.com. But once they email our team, what are dealers going to need to provide? What does the timeline look like? How quick does it take to get going?
So we'll hear from RoofMax to say, hey, Dan's team out in Salt Lake City is ready to get going. So we'll hop on a quick call because we want to make sure this is the right fit. We want to make sure that we're answering your questions. We want to make sure that this is the solution that makes sense. We're on the same page there. There's an agreement that's in place that RoofMax has already approved. We send you the agreement through DocuSign, so you just easily digitally sign that. And then from that time, we're 24 to 48 hours, depending on your schedule and our schedule, to have our first call. The first call introduces you to the team that's going to be working on this account. The nice thing is, very familiar with RoofMax, very familiar. We helped create the microsites, right? So we know what's going on. We know how to make this successful. We set up that call, and at that point, you're in direct communication with the team to get any reporting you'd like to see, any of the rankings information. Like, we're taking good care of you continually. And if you don't want to talk to us because things are good, that's fine. We'll still send you our reports. You want to talk through things? We have that call. We have that time set up to make sure that we're answering questions and make sure you're in the loop with what's happening.
Awesome. And dealers also have direct access to our dealer services team in the marketing department to help with SEO related questions and issues as well. So again, I just wanted to go over the cost. The plans range from $500 to about $2,000. Might be a little bit more if you have a huge territory or a much more aggressive market, or you just want to hit this hard and take the full maximum advantage of the co-op program. We certainly have a number of dealers that have taken a huge advantage of co-op programs to their benefit. So we will probably certainly see some folks that want to go in hard and heavy with this so that they can really establish and own those keywords in their local markets. But those were really all my questions, Dan. Did I miss anything on my side? Is there anything else that dealers need to know about the SEO program?
At the end of the day, you do a Google search, we want you showing up. People are doing searches as RoofMax is doing corporate-based co-op advertising. We want you showing up. That's what this program does. And it helps people who are looking specifically for RoofMax and have that branded name. It's also going to help non-branded people who don't know who RoofMax is, but are looking for roof repair and different roofing services. That's the whole purpose of the plan team. It's just to help you get found, help you drive leads, help you get new jobs. That's what we're here for. That's the plan.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thanks so much, Dan. And for dealers to get started with the SEO program, just email marketing@roofmax.com and we will get you going. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks, David. Cheers.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.